If anyone's seen my other Deluxe Cyberverse figure reviews, I have not been overwhelmingly impressed so far. I get who they're aimed at, but just, oh god, I don't know. I haven't liked them. But it's a little bit different with Arcee, because they don't come along very often. And having been born in '86, the '86 movie is such a big part of Transformers for me that I almost feel obligated to pick up an Arcee. I do have a Generations Arcee, but she's locked away in plastic like a lock of Galadriel's hair. And, you know, if nothing else, that's a pretty sweet hammer. And here she is up close and personal. Call her Molly Ringwald because she'd be pretty in pink. Look, without a doubt, so far, this has got to be my all-time favorite Cyberverse figure. I've played with a few. I've had my exposure. I feel like I can say that with relative confidence and authority. My issues with the other Deluxes, that they had hell loosey-goosey joints. All of these joints, so snug. And she's surprisingly well balanced. She can throw all kinds of shapes. She is just phenomenal. The QC on Arcee is OP for an OG. When it comes to her articulation, the backpack is slightly problematic. She's got ball jointed thighs that are limited a bit by the backpack, but it does get a bend out of it, so you can go quite far back. Her knees are quite cool. They're actually below the knee pad, which I didn't initially expect. So because of transformation, you get a huge amount out of that knee. Like, I'm talking tea ceremony knees. Just above her bodacious go-go boots is where you get a thigh swivel, you get ankle tilt and ankle rocks, which are tight like a tiger. All of her joints are tight. This is the best Cyberverse quality control I have seen. Her shoulders are on a ball joint. She has a bicep swivel and hinged elbows that get to about 90 degrees, which is not bad. I'd have thought maybe you could just, in the molding, fleck that out a little bit more and you'd have been able to get a little bit further. But you know, that's some picking of nits. No wrist articulation, because rather than these hands being separate pieces, the hand color is paint apps. All of this shoulder, again, we hit in backpack. Even like her arms can't go all the way back because of the backpack. Now, look, I ain't gonna do you wrong. There is some serious back-a-packer. But I don't know why, but I'm finding it, maybe it's just like the style or having, you know, less preconceived expectations. But I'm finding the backpack here bothers me so much less than on Earthrise Arcee. Head's on a pretty good ball joint. Some up and down, throw some shapes, get that disapproving mum look. I'm hungry, have some fruit. I don't want fruit. Well, then you can't be that hungry. And of course, she has a waist swivel, which is not hindered by the backpack. That's nice. That's a nice thing. I have always been a massive Arcee fan. I have a really clear memory of being a little kid and thinking to myself, man, Arcee would make the best girlfriend because she could give you lifts everywhere. Daniel! In the movie, she had spunk. By season 3 and 4, she was kind of just like Daniel's hot mom, who was always like, now be careful, don't get in trouble with Grimlock.
It was an accident, honest.
Daniel tell truth. He not mean to get all dirty. What's so funny?
Which is kind of what makes it so awesome in the Cyberverse cartoon when Arcee and Grimlock have that awesome we're bored, let's smash stuff up episode. Super dug it.
Okay.
She did come with, you know, some macadamy bits. She came with his shoulders, which I won't bother you showing you. But she did also come with his hammer. Now, I'm going to get a little bit Jane Foster with it and just steal this hammer for some Lady Thor action. Dink! Worthy be worthy. I just like that a lot. I think that suits her really well. It's not a huge hammer, so if you pair it with other people, it looks a little more utility than battle hammer. If I had a hammer, I'd a hammer in the morning. Hammers aside, she does come with her own hefty handgun in pearlescent pink, which looks cool. I like how big it is and how square it is. It just gives her some stopping power, I think. In the way that these deluxes do, it comes with some blast effects, but they're a little bent, right? And I keep trying to bend them back, but they don't really want to, and it's from the way they're in the package, which is irritating. I guess I could put them in boiling water and do that whole thing, but I don't want to do that. The only redeeming quality of these bent blasts is now, I guess she's kind of like Angelina Jolie and just bending bullets around. I was also Tomb Raider. She's just got some really good lines to her. I think what it is because the actual bot herself is so good and so tight, and because there's like some definite visual hierarchy going on and vanishing effects with the blue of this, she's throwing pretty clean lines. Like, it's a great silhouette, surprisingly. You really wouldn't think it. Like, from the side, it looks pretty big. Even then it's not that heinous because it's like, it's curved. I don't know, it's contoured. I just really like this toy. I'm sold, yo. Look at the attitude. Girl, what that girl say, girl? So, while we've still got her here in robot mode, I thought that'd be a good time to have a look at some legacy Arcees. This is the first Arcee I ever got. I think it might have... I'm probably wrong here. Someone will correct me in the comments if I am. But I think this might have actually been the first mainline Arcee figure we ever got. This is little señorita from Transformers Energon. She was pretty badass in that as well, actually. She was the leader of those little Find Energon, Make Energon guys, which is pretty cool. Then, I think the next one we got was that awesome first movie figure. I remember being like, yeah, cool. If this is what Arcee comes out like in the movies, I'm completely fine with that. This figure was posable, it had good height, good transformation, interesting design. I'm honestly surprised they never reused this mold to give her a G1 style head, but there you go. So I think this was the precedent-setting motorbike Arcee, which is something I'm completely cool with. Like, with the G1 Arcee design, call me crazy, but could you not have her exact robot mode, the way it is in G1 in the cartoon and stuff, and then pretty well have her turn into like a Tron bike? And would that not just work perfectly? Then we've got Prime Arcee, again following suit in the motorbike, making her blue instead of pink. None of that really bothered me. She was an awesome character in the show. I love the way she was partnered with Jack to kind of carry over a little bit of that sort of Daniel motif. And again, this figure, posable AF. Like, they pretty much just retooled this Arcee to be the Thrilling 30 Chromia. The all-time Arcee figure. Transformers animated Arcee. What a toy. Unfortunately, mine has some whack paint on the face apps, but it's kind of cool if you think of her in sort of the IDW, like, Psycho Assassin Arcee. You know, that's just some nicks in her chassis. I can get behind that. Right, I know I'm doing that thing that people say I do a lot of the time, where when I'm doing, you know, my comparison thing, I get a little bit sidetracked by an old toy and it almost becomes a little sub-review. But like, hot damn. Like, look at the kibble and she turns into a car. And there's just so many amazing design accents that they still manage to get in there as well. Like, I love the high gloves and the fact that they twist from the wrist. That's awesome and clever. And I really like the sort of almost samurai-esque hip skirts that come from like the exhaust in our car mode. And articulation for days. So articulated. and really quite minimally inhibited by the customary Arcee backpack. Like, how is this not just your jumping off point, right? For Arcee turning into a car. Oh my god, and the weapon storage? I'd almost forgotten about the weapon storage. God, so good. Just so good, right? How tight is that? It's just so good. So, her transformation is probably pretty well more or less exactly what you were expecting, with a twist of, okay, I come around the back, get these wheels out. For now, they can just lurk like that, that's fine. Flick up the front of the car, get her arms by her side, like so, and just bring this whole shooting match up the back. And then you have the truly horrifying process of getting this clear plastic piece. It's like, man, clear plastic, hinged, scary. And to get it all the way up and past, it catches here, and it's a frightening thing to do. It feels wrong. It feels so wrong. Oh, there, that's that. So then with these wheels, you can kind of bring them up, and then from this cross section here, they'll fold out. Now, like, with all of her other joints stiff, fantastic QC. Maybe too good. Oh, gotcha. So, I mean, that's pretty close to a whole car, right? It's like, you know when you see those little kids transform as Halloween costumes where they kind of just hide under a shell, and you're like, man, that is a really good costume. You kind of expect a little bit more from an actual toy. But, yeah, you know, short of making her a motorbike, what do you do? So anyway, I digress. Fold in those feet. Knees up, and then it's kind of just folding the whole thing down. There's these notches here that go on the back of her arm. Just peg that in. Same on both sides. And then just slot in these wheels to the inside of her wrist. And there we have Arcee in her vehicle mode. It's pretty tidy. I quite like, probably largely incidental, but I like how inside of the cockpit or the cab of the vehicle, the way her knees work, it almost looks like a couple of seats. That's neat. I don't think it's a surprise to anyone to find out that she's just all right there under the car. But, you know, as long as you don't flip it over, pretty good. Pretty good. Now, she rolls okay, because she's nice and light, that helps. But it's hard to imagine you won't end up with a little bit of like paint wear and tear on the underside. It's not amazing clearance. It's not all the time, but sometimes it does feel a little bit like they're cutting it very close, with parts of her robot mode interfering with the rolling of them wheels. Rolling with the homies. For a quick vehicle mode comparison, the only other car Arcee that I have, that awesome animated figure. Great alt modes. This Arcee fits really well with the aesthetic of that show. This Arcee fits perfectly with the aesthetic of her show. They're both just great. Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So that's pretty well Cyberverse Arcee in a shell former. If you like the show, great get, because it's a really cool representation of her. Such a good head sculpt. Mine's got a little bit of paint bleed. I tried to get it off. I couldn't get it all. What do you do? It's fine. It's like end of the night Arcee. Her makeup smudged a little. If you're just an Arcee fan, I would definitely get her, because it's not like Arcee figures come along all that often, especially good ones. I will get Earthrise. I can't wait to see how that actually goes in hand. But considering how long it's been since we've had a G1-esque Arcee, this is a great update to your Arcee collection. Get amongst it.